Chapter 24. Simply harness the corruption to reach absolution. Poetry and philosophical musings, music of the mind's language, delights the heart with rampant start to the dusk that arrives before each night. Many could enjoy the music of such ideas, rolling phonetic incursions, as he was given time to study and grasp the fine forms via linguistic immersions. His father had gone to his meeting and gained the contract that he sought. He had picked up Manny from the after-school program, the young boy seeing his dad parked a block away at the pre-designated meeting spot, next to which was another car that evidently held a parent with a similar idea. The little black boy being picked up was greeted by a lady Manny thought was the boy's mother, but he noticed a certain formal way about the woman in her greeting the child that gave Manny pause. The woman appeared very confident and dignified, meeting Manny's stare for a brief moment before starting her car and recognizing him with a nod. Given what had happened today, he really tried to imprint the woman into his memory because she carried herself in the manner that he would want to emulate. That was the kind of person he hoped to become, and he would seek to surround himself with persons like that. He really did try, but time had a way of branching out before him. He was soon on the way to the apartment that his father had heard about from Abuelo, and his father explained, with contract in hand, he would have proof that he could sign the lease with the landlord to rent out the small section of the 4-section house. If Manny and he liked the apartment, he would sign the lease tonight. Lo and behold, the apartment seemed like a luxurious layout to Manny. A bright kitchen with a section where a table could sit connected to a large living room, big enough to hold a couch and an easy chair. On the wall just outside of the kitchen was one bathroom that had a sink and toilet. The stairs in the living room led to 3 doors and a small hallway that ran to the big bedroom for his mother and father. The door facing the stairs was a bathroom that held a tub, sink, and toilet. The door near the big bedroom was a tiny room that would be for the baby, and the door next to the bathroom went to what would be Manny's room, his own room, with one big window looking out to the shared backyard, brought up the idea that he had never had his own room. He had stayed either in the room with his parents or on the small couch in the living room. The space seemed huge, and he slowly turned around to see his father in the doorway smiling. His father and the landlord spoke over papers in the kitchen, and then each signed the papers. With keys in hand, his father hugged Manny, lifting him and spinning him through the air. Time continued, and they were soon driving back to the south as the sun set. Manny was brought to Abuelo's, where he and Abuela commenced packing their car with clothes and blankets, some cooking utensils and pillows. Abuelo went out to the garage that stood precariously behind the house next to the leaning carport. He and Manny looked through the neatly compiled groups of furniture and selected what could be used at the new apartment. Manny and Abuelo would start bringing these pieces of furniture up there tomorrow, Abuelo starting while Manny registered at his new school and Manny helping after school. The long list of pieces started with a crib that was tucked into a corner. A crib that was Manny's, and would now be for his little brother or sister. Manny's father had taken to the road to get to the hospital. He would bring the good news there, and hopefully bring Manny's mother back to Abuelo's tonight. They would not bring her to the new apartment until there was at least one chair in the downstairs and a mattress for the big bedroom. Manny would use his sleeping bag and some blankets until they could afford a bed for him. But Abuelo let him know that he would help with that once the furniture selected from the garage was there. Manny was in no rush, as he knew how to make 2 blankets fold into a cushion for him to put his sleeping bag on. He had slept like that for many nights without it being in his own room. He'd be able to do it for however long he had to in his own space. He was more tired than he thought, and fell asleep on Abuelo's chair in the living room, waking up to the blurry awareness that his father and mother were back. He gave his mother a groggy hug and kiss and moved himself to the couch. He awoke before the sun was up and lay still until the first light of the new day illuminated the sky beyond the window. Then he went into Abuelo's room. He looked at them sleeping in their big bed. He realized that he might never see them like this again in their own bed. He was acutely aware of this perhaps being the last time. So he made it count as he bounded onto their bed to wake them up. Cuddling him as they came out of their sleeping haze, he hugged them both strongly, feeling sad to move away, yet happy to have them he could miss so much. After a quick breakfast, Abuelos took him in their car to the apartment, followed by his father with his car filled with furniture. Manny's father and Abuelo unpacked his father's car first as Manny and Abuela shuttled in the contents from the other car. Manny excitedly showed Abuela his room, and she smiled deeply with watery eyes. Manny's father brought him to his new school and waited with him at the front desk to sign him in. His father showed the lease for the apartment and waited as the administrator called his other school to complete the transfer. Manny was assigned to a classroom and gave his father a gigantic hug. The administrator managed a smile and shook his father's hand before leading Manny to the classroom where the students were already in seats. The eyes of the students were not intimidating, as he felt impenetrable in his good fortune and good family. He went to his assigned seat and looked around the room. The girl in the seat next to him was looking at him. "Hi," he whispered. "I'm Manny." "Hi," she whispered back. "I'm Julia." The changes that came to him were easy now, and the changes that were still to come would be met with courage. He wondered how he got here, and what, if he traced back far enough, was at the start of all things.